In this episode, I want to talk about webinar marketing best practices. So, if you want your webinar to get amazing results, make sure you apply these 4 components into your webinar marketing efforts. So, these are the best practices. Now, the first thing I want to touch on is the foundation. Let's talk about what topic shall I talk about, which is the most common thing that people come to us with. And in fact, they don't even ask us most of the time, which is a bit scary because they just think,
oh, I've got this great topic in my mind, and I'm just gonna do this webinar because it's gonna be awesome and everybody's gonna love it.
Now, the thing is, I would suggest before you go ahead and come up with that awesome topic, I suggest that you think of first, who is your target audience, right? Who is your target audience? Who do you want to target? Exactly. So, say for example, if I want to target someone that is a more sophisticated investor in the stock market that's already trading options and stocks, but they're not getting the results that they want, I would talk a little bit differently, or rather, I would have a different topic compared to someone who is like, oh, I've got 100,000 in my bank and I want to start investing, right? Because those two people are very different. Who exactly do you want to target? Are you targeting the ones that are already investing, or are you targeting the beginners? Maybe with 100,000 or $50,000 or whatever it is that want to start investing in the stock market. If you were to target the ones that are more sophisticated, maybe a topic like how would Donald Trump's tariffs affect AI stocks, or what stocks are going to go up in a Trump era where there are more tariffs, right? So that is one thing that you might want to talk about for the more sophisticated ones. But if they're less sophisticated, maybe it's more like how to get started in stocks and the top 10 stocks that you need to have to start off your portfolio. That might be more suitable for that audience. So first of all, figure out what audience you are talking to. And secondly, I would say, what is their bleeding neck problem, right? I think that people nowadays, they're more discerning with webinars, and they will only attend a webinar if you promise to help them to solve a very specific problem. Now, in this case, the more sophisticated investors may be a little bit confused with like, okay, how is DeepSeek gonna affect my portfolio? Is Nvidia gonna go up or down and all that kind of stuff, right? Whereas the less sophisticated investor, their bleeding neck might be, I'm just getting like 2-3% in my FD. How do I get better returns without losing that money? So for them, the bleeding neck problem that is keeping them awake at night is very different. And why do I say bleeding neck? Because like most people, they won't act until they have a bleeding neck, right? If you have bleeding neck, straight away you're gonna go to the hospital, right? And most people, sadly, they don't really act until like there's literally a bleeding neck, a fire under the butt before they take action. That is our society today, like it or not. I'm not putting any judgments out, but those are the facts, right? And we just, as marketers, we have to play with those facts, right? And just adapt to the environment. Consider those two things before you actually fix your topic. So I would say then the second component of it is to drive traffic and your funnel, right? So that's super important. I'm not going to go into so much into the traffic strategies because if you watch my previous episode, there's a ton of strategies there for beginners and for more advanced people who want to spend more money. I've outlined and detailed all the traffic strategies to get people to come to your webinar. And, I'll say even if you start off by just asking your friends and your parents, your mom, I'm sure your mom's gonna, love to attend your webinar if you just ask her, be nice to your mom. I think that is a great start just to get that practice, just to get some feedback from that audience, right? And then you can launch into other things. That is my take on it. And when you build your funnel, first of all, your landing page is super important, right? Make sure your landing page loads up really fast. Your landing page is where people sign up for your webinar. So make sure that it loads up super fast because that is the one thing that probably will destroy like 50% of visitors because they can't wait for the landing page to load. We're very impatient people nowadays. So, you make sure you have that super quick landing page load rate. And of course, the messaging needs to be great. I'm just touching on these few things really fast because I think they're important, but I won't go into detail in it because there's other episodes that go into much more detail. Then you have your thank you page. On the thank you page, I think that's a great opportunity that many people are missing out on, because on the thank you page, that's when they're most excited. It's like, yes, I registered for this. I'm going to accomplish something. I'm going to learn something. I think that is a perfect opportunity for you to have that video and to just have that video to remind them what they registered for, make them even more excited, get them to pencil stuff into the calendar, and to take whatever action that you want them to take, like white labeling your emails and all that kind of stuff. That is the perfect opportunity because they're excited. You got their attention. Now you need to basically tell them what to do next, right? Also, the next thing to do is make sure you have your drip sequences ready. So your emails, SMSs, WhatsApp, all that stuff, get it ready and prepared so that when people sign up, all these drip sequences will automatically get sent out. This email, the SMSs will say, hey, thanks for registering. Here's some great information before the webinar. And then closer to the date, you might have some reminders going out, say, hey, the webinar's on in 2-3 hours. Make sure you be there because we're just going to give this awesome content that you're going to help you solve this problem. And then after the webinar, make sure you have a post-webinar drip sequence as well, because that is also an opportunity to make the sale or, invite them for your next event and, maybe indoctrinate them further, okay, if they're on the fence. So make sure you have all that set up. So that's the second component. And the third component is the delivery of the webinar itself. Now, most people, I'm just not going to go really deep into this, but I think there is one distinction that I want to make that is going to help you if you're doing webinars. And that is when I talk to some of the highest paid coaches in the world that are most successful with webinars, one of the things they tell me is that they do not focus so much on the content, but they focus more on shifting the beliefs of the listener. Think about it, right? You only have like 1 hour or so to actually deliver value to your audience. And most of these people, if they do not have the right mindset, they're not going to act. So I think if you help them to believe that they can do it with the system and they can achieve a certain outcome through your system, that is super valuable by itself, because by helping them have that mind shift, you are actually delivering the most value for them at that point in time. And of course, you need a good call to action, and make sure when you present your offer has genuine value. I see too many gurus present all this awesome you're gonna get this that's valued at 10,000, you're gonna get this that's valued at 20,000, this that's valued at 30,000, and all up you're gonna get 100,000 of value, and you're only gonna pay like $500. People can see through that nowadays, right? People are very discerning nowadays, so you can't do that stuff anymore, right? Make sure your value is backed up, that you can actually tell people, hey, go and check out this other websites, right? You can go and buy all this stuff separately that will maybe cost you $10,000. But if you buy my package, you're going to save like 70%, 60%. And, you're only going to pay for like $4,000. It's a no-brainer, right? And you need all this in order to achieve that outcome that you want. So that is the other thing. Paint a very clear picture of where they can be if they have your solution, and have testimonials and all that stuff to back it up that other people have actually achieved it. So that's my really short spill on the presentation part, which is the third thing. Let's go on to the fourth thing. And the fourth thing is to really just track and analyze what went right during the campaign and what went wrong during the campaign, so that you can improve for future events. Because most people, once they finish the event, the webinar, they're like, ooh, okay, let's just take a pina colada and relax and watch Netflix, right? No, that is where actually a lot of the work can be done to analyze what actually happened during the webinar and what were the results, what ads worked. And that's how we also help our clients to track all this so that they don't have to do it. And one of the other things that I suggest you do is to talk to some of these people. Reach out to some of your attendees post-event and ask them, how was it? Get feedback from them. Send out a survey. If you don't want to talk to them individually, if you're a shy guy, then make sure you send out a survey and get some feedback, right? And the other thing that comes to my mind is that we often get people, right, who come to me like who are usually fairly new coaches that don't have much experience, and they say, yeah, I'm just gonna do like 3 or 4 webinars and then I'll just automate it. Look, I don't think generally that's a good idea, because like if you look at people like Russell Brunson, right, he actually did like over 100 webinars before he even thought of like, yeah, this is good enough and I'm just going to automate it. And he not just only did them, he actually reviewed them and made them better. And that's how he managed to grow his business to, I don't know, whatever, 9 figures now. So that is the key. You know, you just need to put in the hard yards. There is no shortcut. I had another client who had basically retired from the speaking circuit for a while, for like 7 years, came back and he decided to restart again. And he did over 50 presentations, and he analyzed every one of those presentations to make fine tweaks here and there until he was satisfied with the results it produced. Then he looked at automating it. So guys, sorry, but there is no shortcut. You just need to put in hard yards, get a coach if necessary to analyze your webinars, and that could speed up the process, of course. So that is what I'll say before you start thinking about automating your webinars. So guys, I hope you got tons of value from this episode. If you did, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button or leave me a review. And remember, I've got tons of other episodes that go deeper into all these aspects that I talked about today. So make sure you check out the other episodes, whether you're on YouTube or on my podcast. Make sure you check them out because there's tons of value in there. I don't charge anything because, you know, I don't have any courses to sell. So I'm happy to give out this information for free. But if you like this and you think, yeah, I'd like to work with someone who knows what they're doing, please reach out to us and we'll be happy to have a chat to see if we got a good fit working together. And thank you again for listening in or watching this episode, and I'll see you on the next one.